bastardized version of an English accent.
I love it. That makes sense to me.
That's where I'm gonna stake my flag.
Do you think he went too far when he killed Crystal?
That was not necessary at all. I think it was necessary for us to like not that we didn't hate him before, but at that moment we're like, you even hate like your bad friends.
It wasn't necessary because he killed her just so he was the only pilot left.
Right.
So then
to get the bargaining chips.
So then that one guy couldn't kill him.
Exactly. So Travers was stuck with them.
I love Travers' just force of will. He just forced his will himself into kind of the lead of this group.
Yeah, I think he thinks he did for sure. He doesn't. Nobody here seems to think more than 5 minutes in the future.
Never. I mean, because that's all they set their timers at.
Right. Right.
Whoa.
But it's like there's no contingency plan. Even when he shot the agents on the airplane, like what did you think was going to happen at that point in time? Make sure they're dead. Like, just take 30 seconds and clear the room before you zip line out.
And don't shoot a pilot in the head next to a window.
Like, again, don't shoot a gun in a plane.
We love this movie, though, correct?
I own it on DVD.
It's a great movie.
And I own it on VHS. So, like, I had the poster. Like, I do not want anybody to think that I'm not for this movie. This movie is beautiful. This movie holds up. This movie, of course, has things where like, but it's one of those things where like you love it anyways. You know, you have one of those best friends where you're like, you are my best friend. You do some stuff I don't understand, but that doesn't change the fact that you're my best friend.
It has personality. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think the one great thing. What do you know about Bad Times, man? I'm just reading through my stuff. Okay, before we go in, we love this movie, but why did they set the timer for 5 minutes when they knew Stallone was down there and they didn't need 5 minutes to get away?
It's a good round number,
60 seconds.
Right. 60 seconds. I get that. I don't know. There's no reason for that. I think it was to give us a subtle look into like, you know what, kids, stay in school, be smart. These guys are not criminals because they're smart.
Where did Leon learn to fight? Like, what was his fighting style, would you say?
I think his fighting style, I think it was the basis for that Jamaican guy from Tekken on PlayStation. But I think it's more, I think he was in I think he went to the Fame High School for dance.
Oh, and then, like Swayze in Steel Dawn.
Exactly. So I think it's more dancing than fighting. But I think he went to the Fame School for dance, and then he got bullied there a lot, so he modified his own fighting style out of dance into he would be dancing and then just kick a bully. Dancing, kick a bully.
He watched Bruce Lee tapes too, because he did a lot of open hand slaps and kind of yells like Bruce Lee.
Yes, 100% that happens.
So dance, fight, and Bruce Lee tapes.
Yep.
Because he open hand slaps Stallone, and he works his lower. Here's the deal, Adam. I think working the lower back is an underappreciated fighting technique.
Well, it's the old Homer Simpson adage when he's like, then it's time to kick some back.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you work that lower back, it's done.
Absolutely.
And he monologues a lot. And he had the knife. So Lithgow told him not to kill him, but then he tried to kill him. And then he had the knife the whole time. And then
my favorite villain trope in movies is the brass knuckle knife.
Yep.
You know, if you have a brass knuckle knife, you're the biggest jerkwad in the movie. And second, you're not going to win that fight. Nobody with a brass knuckle knife ever wins the fight.
Did the guy from Commando have one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bennett. Wow, that's funny. And then he gets Stallone.
There's also a guy in Once Upon a Time in Mexico had one as well.
And they never win, do they?
They never win. It's never a good move to have a brass knuckle knife.
And the guy who does all the knife tricks too. Remember Tommy Lee Jones? How many knife tricks he's doing? And then in Under Siege, and then he just gets wiped out.
Yep.
That's why I like the bare bones knife fight of The Hunted. It's just Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro knife fighting, terrifyingly knife fighting. If Bennett was trying to knife fight me, I would be scared. But if Benicio del Toro was trying to knife fight me, I'd be dead.
So my favorite cinematic knife fighter was Lou Diamond Phillips from Young Guns and Young Guns 2.
What, was he just dynamite with a knife?
Yeah, so in a movie called Young Guns, with people shooting guns, he had these like the sweet like Bowie knife that had like a loop for his finger in it, and he'd like do some sweet flips with it. And as a kid, I was like, that if I had a knife with a finger hole in it, I would be unstoppable. The reality is I probably cut my own like throat with it, but trying to do flips and stuff. But I was like, oh, Chavez, that's what his character's name was.
My ear would be gone.
Oh, for sure you're going to cut your ear off with a knife like that. You can't be good at that kind of thing without losing some earlobes first. But
No, I'm cheating, but I want to tell you my favorite knife guy. I'm just going to say knife guy. And it's from Desperado, and it's Danny Trejo.
Yes.
Now, technically
Trejo.
he throws knives, but when you see that movie when you're 12, 13 years old, and
game over.
I went to the flea market, bought some throwing knives, and then I went to try to throw them into palm trees, and one of them bounced out and went right in between my, like I was wearing sandals, and it bounced off the tree, then went right in between my big toe and I don't know what the other one is, right in between it. Like that would have gone right through my foot. And it luckily missed. And that's the last time I ever threw knives. I was like, I'm just going to watch him throw knives from now on. But I love Trejo in that movie.
So I went to, like my dad is an avid hunter. So I watched Desperado and loved it. And then he went to like a gun swap where you go and you like look at rifles and whatnot. And there was a guy there selling these sweet gloves that had 3 throwing knives in them. So it's like a fingerless glove. You put it on, they had 3 throwing knives in it.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I'm gonna fight crime. Like it's over. I'm gonna be unstoppable. So I was like, it was $15 and I bought it and I was like, this is the greatest day of my life. And I like went home, very much to your story, and I threw one into a tree and it hit the tree perfect and the tip bent and it fell on the ground. And I was like, oh, I was just so upset. And I just like never threw them again. It seems like this is the worst investment I've ever made in my life. So that was the last time I threw a knife.
So you and I both bought throwing knives, threw them into trees. It went terribly awry, and we never threw them again.
All because of Danny Trejo.
That's amazing.
When he's standing on top of that limousine throwing knives through the sunroof.
Awesome.
Incredible.
What a great scene.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
That movie's pure fire from beginning to end.
Banderas, oh my gosh. Robert Rodriguez with a budget. Not selling his body to make El Mariachi.
No, exactly.
Now, we have a team that we're putting together, but I just want to get your final thoughts about the soccer player hooligan henchman.
So
Racist.
I'm making this proclamation.
Yeah.
If I ever actually get into a fight, like a real fight, which I haven't yet in my life gotten into a pure fist fight yet. And I think it's on my bucket list, but I got to make it count. I definitely will commentate with an unrelated sport while I'm doing it because of this scene. I loved everything about it when he's just like yelling soccer terms and like essentially calling his own match, right? Like it's fantastic.
Season's over.
Yes, and then the season's over shotgun thing. I have problems with that because you couldn't if I were to hold a shotgun with one hand and pull the trigger. So there was a show we used to watch. Oh, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. There was a show my father used to watch when I was a kid called Michigan Out of Doors, and there's this guy named Fred Trost. It's amazing. I remember this with such detail. I hated the show, but it was like a cable access show, and he would be in his basement, and he had like a deer head behind him and like a gun on the wall. And he just talk about hunting stuff, and he like cut to like people on the field and whatnot. But it was just like a very low budget hunting show, and out of Michigan, and my dad loved it. He'd watch it every week. And so one time, Fred Trost was like, "I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to show you the difference in shotgun calibers." And says, "I'm going to start with," and so he had this like camera set up. And he was going to hold a shotgun with one hand and pull the trigger, and he was going to measure the recoil, and that was going to show you the difference in calibers. So start with the 410, which is like a little tiny shotgun shell, and like he pulled the trigger, and it's one that you kind of give younger people to start shooting to get used to the gun. And his hand kicks back a little bit, and it, he's like, that's what a 410 looks like. And then he goes gauge, and that's like a little bit bigger than that, but not like what you'd see. A shotgun shell you'd see in a movie is a 12 gauge. And so a 20 gauge is like maybe half the size of it. And he pulls back and he goes, oh, and he kind of like, that's a little bit smart on the hands. Like that's because he's holding it with one hand.
Yeah.
And then on television, like they left it in the episode, he takes a 12 gauge, pulls the trigger, and he breaks his hand. Like it just... So there's no way Rooker would have held a shotgun in one hand, pointing it up, and then just shoot the guy, and he would have busted his arm.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. I didn't know where that story was going, but I love it.
Yeah, no. So there you go. That was another moment that moment and the sweater moment brought me out of the movie, because I'm like, oh, I know for a fact with things I've seen and done in my own life that this would not be a thing that is happening.
Now,
but other than that, movie's gold.
So if you're a henchman, you kind of want to be this guy. I would be the Doug Glatt of Goon of Henchmen.
Oh, yes.
Super earnest, but just goes for the throat. Like Doug Glatt, he's not trying to play with people. He's trying to lay them out with the least amount of punches possible.
Absolutely.
I'd be the Doug Glatt. I wouldn't shoot Frank, right?
No.
I probably wouldn't even shoot Rooker. I'd just be like, run.
I'd probably shoot Quaylen, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
After he shoots the woman, I'd be like, oh, that wasn't very nice. And then just like start punching Lithgow in the face.
I would work Lithgow's ribs, and I guarantee you that Travers would be all down for it.
Yep. I would punch Lithgow in the face while locking eyes with Stallone. Like, this is for you. This is for you.
Just a freeze frame with you two looking at each other. What would happen, though, if Lithgow starts working your ribs?
You die instantly. That's what. It's like your Achilles heel, but it's Lithgow. He's unstoppable when he works the ribs.
Like, when you let's say you have a pretzel in your hand and you just crush it.
Yes.
That's what your ribs would look like.
On a bad day. If they were a good day, there's nothing left.
It would just be powder.
Yeah.
Like there would be a hole through your that area where he punched.
Right. Remember when the Terminator punches that guy and then he pulls his arm out?
Yeah.
And punches him. That's what when Lithgow's really angry, that's what happens.
Oh my gosh. All right, I don't think we can top that. You want to do our cliffhanging crew?
Our dangling modifiers?
Yeah, dangling modifier crew. So basically we just pick people who can hang from stuff or dangle.
Yeah, hang or dangle.
Or hold people, like following people, they catch them.
Yeah, so like ledge and cliff and like just when gravity's not on your team.
I love that. The dangling modifiers. When gravity's not on your team.
Right.
All right, you want to go first?
So how many we're doing? What our number? We're going to do 7 each. Is that what we're doing? They're picking a team of 10.
Yep.
Okay. So
let's pick a team of 8. It's more fun when it gets stressful.
Okay. So my first pick, and this is going to be maybe a little out of the blue, a little out of the ordinary, but I'm going to stand by it. Is Max Kenton, who was the kid from Real Steel. So in a junkyard looking for robot parts, he falls down a mudslide and falls off a cliff. But he hangs on to a piece of robot. And then Wolverine comes and pulls the kid up. But he hangs on for dear life to that piece of robot. Then he digs up Adam, the fighting robot. So he's a young kid, but he's got dripping with potential. And anywhere he goes, we get a free fighting robot.
Oh my god! Because you need free fighting robots.
You don't say no to a free fighting robot.
Because if you're dangling from something, you need a robot close.
Exactly.
I mean, the wherewithal that kid showed to stay calm and grab on.
And then and then Wolverine says, "No, leave it here," and he drags it home himself.
His grip strength.
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable thing.
Like, you know how you do gifted testing? He would have dangling participle testing.
Yeah, off the charts.
Genius level. All right, I got a really weird one for you. Right, but I think you're gonna like it. Phil from Hot Tub Time Machine, and that's Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
Now, I picked him because, the whole subplot about